Welcome to Shellington for one of the biggest club karting events of the season. It's the Superprix, which this season incorporates the new MSA E-Plate. Earlier, I spoke to the Association of British Kart Club Secretary Graham Smith to ask about the new initiative and how it came about.
Well, the MSA has honoured us with Shellington with the running of the first MSA English Championship. There's always been a Scottish one and a Welsh one, but this year, which is the 15th running of our Shellington Superprix, is the first time that we've been allowed to award the E-Plate. So all the main classes will end up with having an E on their class for the next 12 months, which is a great honour, and that E-Plate will be recognised at all clubs throughout the UK.
Karting in the UK started in 1959 with karts introduced by American Air Force personnel racing at their local aerodromes. The sport developed from there, and every year at the Superprix the British Historic Kart Club makes an appearance with karts from bygone times. I spoke to a few of the drivers before they went out on circuit to ask about the historical significance of the karts they brought with them this weekend. Alan, just tell us a little bit about the faster kart you brought with you today.
It's a 1963 faster kart. The original faster karts were 1962, built by Barry Williams' dad. It's a 197C Villiers engine with a 4-speed sequential gearbox.
No bodywork, obviously, in those days. It looks really basic, this kart, doesn't it?
It's one of the original ones. It started about in the UK about 1959. Brian,
tell us something about the kart you've brought along today.
Well, this one is my full race kart, which is why it's not in concours condition. It's a battle-scarred veteran. It's the original Martin Hines prototype for gearbox karts. Martin went on to do a lot of work in long circuit racing, 150 mile an hour karts. They all came really through his enthusiasm, and that was where he was world champion and so on so many times. But his very first outing on a gearbox kart was this particular kart. It's not a replica, it's the genuine prototype chassis.
And you've had some significant success, haven't you? You've won some honours in the sport over the years.
Over the years, in 1960 I was voted most successful Class 4 driver. But I only did it for a comparatively short time before I went into mechanicking in Formula 1 and then went on to have a motor racing career. And it was only when I stopped my motor racing career 2 years ago that I came back into karts.
Barry, everyone tells me you're the man to speak to here. You've got a lot of history in the sport, building karts, racing karts. Tell us a little bit about your history first of all.
We're going back many, many years when I was a young kid, and Dad started building karts with a chap, and he took in a fellow called Mel Bayliss, and between them they started building karts, and Eddie Evans designed it, and they decided to call it a faster kart. Now my mother's still alive and she's 99. She remembers everything. It's incredible. But we started racing, and of course I drove with Dad, and I was a works driver, wasn't I, because it was Dad's firm. But we had a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about motorsport, and I think that was the way to go. And we always built Class 4 karts with gearboxes, because I'm a firm believer, 3 pedals, fast, slow, and change gear. And that's, I think that's the way we should have gone. Everybody should do that. Everybody should race a gearbox kart before they start driving Formula 4s and things.
I've been saying that for the last 2 years to anybody that listens. Tell us a little bit about this kart that you've got here.
Well, this was rebuilt by a friend of mine, and it was restored, and I looked everywhere for a faster kart because that was the old name, and I looked everywhere for one. And I couldn't find one anywhere. And Brian Jordan said, I can get one. And then we heard of this one. And so I went along, and it cost me a lot of money, but, it's here. And it's as we used to race it. It's got one or two little bit better things. The brake mechanism is a bit better down here, but the gear, everything's the same. Just as I used to race it. I can't get behind the wheel now.
It's a comfy seat as well compared to the seats we have these days.
Oh, some of them are, yes, but I think the grip they've got, they need that special seat now because we didn't have any grip. We didn't race in the rain, we raced with these slick tyres. We didn't have wet weather tyres. And I can remember Father and I, we won a race, I think it was a 3-hour race or something at Aintree once, and it rained the whole time. And Dad and I were first, and Mel and Brian Jordan were second. But we didn't have wet weather tyres. We just did the whole race on slicks. And you'd never think of it now.
Bob, you're here with your kart today. It's a 1975 Barlotti Barracuda. Just tell us something about the historical significance of this particular kart.
It's one of the first Barlottis with the disc brakes, the Earhart brakes, which are the American system. And after that, they went over to the Appleby system, but they were run for a long time with drum brakes.
Tony, tell us something about the Historic Kart Club first of all, 10-year anniversary this year.
Historic karting really started here 15 years ago actually, with just a few people bringing older karts around. And then over the next 5 years it really started to gather pace, and then in 2005 we formed the British Historic Kart Club, and that's really grown now, so this is now our 10th anniversary this year. We've got about 250 members now, so it's a very, very lively club, and as you can see looking around today, lots and lots of karts here. I think we've got about 100 historic karts here today.
And plenty of your members not only restoring the karts but actually racing in championships now as well.
That's correct. Many of our members race in the sort of sister organisation, which is Retro Racer, and they look after a 6-round championship, which runs at kart circuits all around the country. Most of these karts are out, not only just looking attractive as they do today, but also out there racing.
Tim, Karting Legends at the Superprix this weekend. Just tell us a little bit about Karting Legends.
Karting Legends was formed in 2009 by Neil Ward and his wife Viv. We've been running since. We mainly do long circuit events for karts between 1959 and 2002. We attend the Goodwood Festival of Speed a few years ago, which was a hell of a experience. We also support the Masters Formula 1, which we do sort of demos at lunchtime. And we've done other events like the British Superkart Grand Prix and the British GT at circuits, well, long circuits, which are going to be like Brands Hatch, Cadwell and Donington Park.
Let's get the racing underway then and unleash the beasts that are the 250 national karts. The fastest karts we'll be seeing at the meeting this weekend. The grid looks like this. James Hassel, the British Open champion, looking to add the E-plate to his collection at the end of this race. We're about to get underway. 1,211 metres. These karts will do the full circuit here at Shanton. It's Hassel that gets the whole shot through turn 1. The 48 looking up the inside for a spot as Aaron Powell locks up. Matthew Scott takes advantage, so Scott makes up a place up to the top of the circuit then. So that where they are there now, that's the circuit we'll be using for a lot of the direct drive and centrifugal clutch classes during this meeting. Try and get that out when you've had a few drinks. But these karts take advantage of the full circuit here. It's around about a 44-45 second lap for these karts as Hassel has the lead down through Hanger Corner, heading towards Wilkins here. These karts are around about a second lap faster than the KZ UK class we'll see later in the meeting, and around 6 seconds a lap quicker than the 210 national class coming up later in this programme. This is Cafe Corner, leads on to Pitts Bend. That's the left-hander there, heading up towards the top of the circuit. And the 20 kart looking very racy indeed. Richard Morris here looking for a way by. It's getting a long straight up to that corner there. These karts, of course, typically race on the bigger circuits. Alton Park, Brands Hatch, Silverstone. Very, very quick karts. This is real old school racing. No seat belts, of course. Lots of courage required to race these karts, not only on this short circuit but the long circuits as well. Over 125 miles easily these things will do on a big circuit. They'll be doing a ton today up towards the hairpin as Alex Burrows puts a nice move on the 46 of Philip Scott. So Burrows on the move, and here come the leaders up towards the top of the circuit, up Stratford Straight into the hairpin. Aaron Powell on the 85 there in third place. The 3 is Alex Burrows. The 46 is Philip Scott. So they're battling for third, fourth and fifth. They come down towards us. That is Philip Scott on the 46. Matthew Scott in behind on the 48. Matthew there in 6th place. Some way behind him, Ashley Goodliff, just coming into the picture there. He's come through the right-hander down towards Wilkins. Through the right-hander is Hannah. That is Wilkins. Now the leaders through the picture. Close between them. Alex Burrows trying to chase down the 85 of Aaron Powell, but can't quite get close enough at the moment. Going through the picture earlier on in Cafe Corner, unfortunately, and going out of the race, was a 69 kart of Max Buckley. I've not seen Max for absolutely years and years. Manchester and Buxton Kart Club, he was in cadets when we first came into racing. He went into the junior TKM class, made an appearance this weekend, but unfortunately it's been very short-lived. So he come through Bruno Ferrari chicane, the two leaders well clear. That is the leader, James Hassel, the O-Plate British Open champion. It's not zero, as you'll sometimes hear some commentators refer to it, Kart Zero. It's not, it's an O, so it denotes people as the British Open champion in the modern era of karting. In the old days, of course, the British Championships were held over one weekend, and those events are still in play and effectively called the O-Plate events now, as we see Burrows all over Aaron Powell now like a rash. Those events are still held and they're effectively now O-Plate events, so you get to run the O-Plate on your kart, and we refer to that as the British Open Championship, although to be fair, it's not quite that open. You can't come from abroad and race in it, so it's almost a British Closed Championship if you like, but that's how we refer to it. The British Championships now effectively are run over a series of events, whereas in the old days it used to be over one weekend. There is some argument and thought that perhaps the British Championship should be regionalised with maybe 6 rounds in the south, 6 in the north, with the top 17 qualifiers from each going to a final round and a shootout at the end of the season. Talking about a shootout, here's the shootout for third, and it's Burrows that finally makes his way past later in the race. The major positions pretty much determined by this point as we look at the battle down the field. That's the 57 kart going through the picture, Mark Pask. He's got 34 Ashley Goodliff in front of him. This is going to be a lights to flag victory for James Hassel here. It's difficult to stay out front as we see one of the karts getting pushed away. Hassel puts in the fastest lap. It is 44.87, so around about that 45-second mark, as I mentioned earlier. That's going to be around about a second quicker, I would think, than the KZs we'll see later on. KZ UK class, which is a 125 gearbox class, and around 6 seconds faster than the 210 national class that we'll see later in the programme as well. But here's Hassel then, down through the right-hander for the last time at Hannah's corner into Wilkins, out of Wilkins, across the stripe to take the checkered flag. It's Hassel that takes a comfortable victory in the end. He was chased home by Richard Morris, who kept him honest all the way to the line. Alex Burrows on the 3 through for third place. Aaron Powell would have to settle for fourth, and it would be Philip Scott that rounded out the top 5. That's the result for the 250 National E-Plate. We're back with more from Shannington after the break.